Hello and welcome to Little Things with Amber Lee Swenson. We are continuing our series of conversations that I had earlier this summer at the Christian Leadership Experience, a conference bringing together leaders from all over to share their experience and expertise. This conference was put on by the Antioch Foundation, which is a philanthropic organization that has helped so many ministries, including Time of Grace, with funding. Today, I'm airing a conversation I had with Josh Birkholz. He is a guru when it comes to fundraising. And I know what you're thinking, Amber, I would never need to do fundraising, so why do I need to listen to this conversation? Two reasons. First of all, the way Josh got where he is right now is just an amazing story of God opening doors that Josh never, ever dreamt he would be going through. And second, Josh has a very interesting perspective on giving. Most of us look at giving as something we need to do or have to do. Josh's experience is that it is really a joyful thing to do. He's really going to have you looking at this in a totally different perspective. I hope you enjoy this conversation. Hey, it's Amber, wife, mother, type A child of God. Here at Little Things, we look at everyday issues from a biblical perspective with one simple goal: to know and love God more. Thanks for listening. Josh, nice to have you here.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
In full disclosure, I'm not going to pretend like I don't know your family because your dad has been helping pastor my church for the last 5 years. So
awesome.
I know
you get to spend more time with him than I do. I'm jealous.
Very, very much so. I can guarantee about every other week for well over 4 years he was there. So
he's been an inspiration to me. I just think I sometimes joke if we went to a grocery store together, before we check out, he'd be like, there's a lady in aisle 3 who doesn't have a church home. I'll be right back. So, that's how he's wired. And
you were raised that way.
Totally.
I mean, you were raised as a pastor's kid.
Yep.
And now you have this big fundraising and you're all into this and you've worked with a lot of major corporations. How did you get from pastor's kid to where you are now? What was that? I mean, what did you major in school? Because I don't know if philanthropy is a major.
No, I sure didn't. So I studied music. I wanted to be a music director at a church. I actually studied singing. I got my church music director kind of stuff. And it's kind of fascinating because I was working on a grad program around managing an arts organization. I thought maybe I can get a job at the orchestra or the opera to help pay for more music school and all of this training. And so I ended up getting this internship for the music department at the University of Minnesota. You're like, wow, how far back is it going to go? But I think it's pretty relevant. Yeah. So I ended up getting this internship to write a fundraising and marketing plan for the marching band at the University of Minnesota. And so I come back to deliver this report, and this woman who I consider a mentor to me still, Mary Hicks, she was the head of external relations at the college at the University of Minnesota, and she pulled me aside. She's like, Josh, your future's in fundraising. You don't know it yet, but I see it so clearly. So here's what's going to happen. I'm putting you on my payroll, and if you find a better job, leave. And I'm like, do I get free tuition? Because I want to take some more music classes. She's like, yep, you'll get free tuition. So suddenly I'm working in the fundraising office at the University of Minnesota. And this was kind of late 90s-ish, I want to say. And we were starting to dabble in some of this applied statistical research. I'm jumping over a lot of stuff. But if you ever saw Moneyball, like sabermetrics around baseball, I was kind of reading about some of that, but one of our leaders, in fact, our executive vice president, Judy Kirk, came back from a board meeting. And she was like, hey, Josh, she wasn't saying to me. I was one of the minions of underlings working in fundraising. And she's like, we got this, like these board members from Best Buy and Target and Fair Isaac, they're saying they're doing this new data mining and applied statistic to predict what customers are going to do. They think we should do that for what fundraising or what donors are going to do. And I'm like, that sounds kind of cool. Everyone else was. So she's like, has anyone in the room heard of that? And like, I raised my hand because I had read I read an article about that. And it was like that scene in Harry Potter where everyone else stepped back and I'm here by Buckbeat by myself. She's like, Josh, great, you're going to run this new thing. So I built this data science division, and we predicted pretty well. In fact, we raised about $1.6 billion in that campaign, and they traced about $400 million to names we had found statistically. And then that got me into consulting because the other universities were like, hey, we want to do that too. Are you the guy doing the Oakland A's Moneyball thing for fundraising. I guess if I don't think it's that cool. So then that's how I started working with lots of other charities.
Yeah, but you make it sound so simple. I just, nobody else was doing it. So I just did this whole data, whatever. I don't even know what you said. And somehow I earned, $1.6 billion or
well, I sound
it.
cooler talking to you if I tell it that tight. I mean, there was a lot of work that went into it, of
I'm
course.
sure.
And I did meet with lots of people. I learned from them and so forth. And there's others that have been dabbling that I learned from as well. But we were just playing. We were trying something new, and it started to work. So there's brighter statisticians and others out there, but I just happened to be lucky to be doing something first, or blessed to be doing something first. And so that led me into a consulting space. At first, my first, 4 or 5 years of consulting, it was setting up analytics and data science. In fact, MIT had called me and was like, would you build a data science department at MIT? I'm like, all right, music major, pastor's kid from Minnesota. And I'm the one that been setting up MIT's data science division. And so at that point, I'm like, I don't know how to do this contract. So I joined a firm, which over the years now, I've been there 21 years and became CEO of it in 2019. So we work in lots of areas of philanthropy now.
Mm-hmm. So it started as somebody recognizing something in you that and giving you a job.
And then it was Judy.
Yeah. And just coming alongside, which is interesting because I found that all along, even with what I do, it has been people kind of seeing something in me that I didn't even see in myself and just opening up a door, which is always a good reminder for all of us to be watching for the next generation, right?
It's a huge reminder. Yeah. I mean, I think about that a lot. I mean, how much are we all in this pursuit to try to better ourselves, try to succeed, hit some goal? Like, am I actively thinking about, oh, this person could be amazing at that thing? And I probably don't do that like I should. But I love that you're bringing that up because it wasn't me in either case.
Right. But you and I were talking earlier today about having children at this launching stage.
Yeah.
Where we have these kids now in their early 20s who, and that's the age you were, that other people were noticing things in you. So that's just a reminder for all of us. We're not going to be here forever. We need to start looking out for the next generation and saying, you would be great at this or whatever.
Oh, 100% true. Maybe it's different for our own kids, though, because if we suggest that thing, they're like, we're pushing them down that path. But I'm like, I see it so clearly in my daughters, some of the gifts that they have, and so then it's like, is it the reverse psychology game? It's like trying to get my kids to go to Christian schools for school is really tough. I mean, that's a hard thing to do. I valued it so much having a Christian education. I hope that they would do that as well. But I tried to push it. Then the next one, I'm like, oh, whatever you want to do. Third one, I'm like, I will pay full rate if you go to this school, kind of a thing. But but the reality is they do have to find that path. But what's the right nudge?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You would know more about that than me. I should learn from you on that.
No. But let's get back to money because a lot of times I love what you were saying, and you did a keynote. Tomorrow you're going to be doing a breakout. But you talked about bold generosity. And I think the average Joe a lot of times thinks, you're not talking to me.
Right.
Like, you've just told us about MIT and you raise money for big organizations, Harvard, St. Jude's. You want money from big people.
Yeah.
What does it mean for the average person going to work, getting a paycheck? How should they look at generosity?
It's a really good question. I mean, first of all, I like to think of giving as certainly it's a fun thing to do. I just want to say that, like, it's cliched, it's better to give than to receive. But the reality is people do experience real joy in giving. And we see that again and again. And honestly, truth be told, it is kind of, people were saying, is giving becoming for the rich? Unfortunately, statistically, it kind of is, but it doesn't have to be. In fact, there's a large commission in Washington called the Generosity Commission. I was privileged to be on the steering committee and present that in DC in September. And we were looking at how do we get the everyday donor to think about giving again? And it's a big, complex thing. Well, one of the issues is actually the decline of religion in the United States. And this is a secular study. And what we found is kids growing up in a faith community, they give a lot more. People that are religious give 4 times more to secular charities than non-religious people. But the secular charities look at that and they say it's because they have modeled philanthropy at a higher rate. They saw their parents put money in the plate once a week. So they saw 50 gifts a year if they went to church. So they've seen my parents are people that give. And so places like the St. Jude's, the Children's Miracle Network. They've tried to replicate that with, getting a sticker behind the cash register, color this chili pepper at Chili's. It's not about the dollar. It's about the kids saying, oh, my parents donated to something.
Okay.
So I think there's some aspect of model philanthropy that's going away that we're not picking up on it early. Another aspect of it, though, is as we've seen more and more wealthy people giving, the charitable language has been geared more and more towards wealthy people. Now, ironically, in the church, we've probably not done as well as there as other sectors, but they've almost left the others in the wake. And an aspect of it specifically is instrumentality versus intrinsic value. Instrumentality is we give so that this thing can happen. It's instrumental in a thing happening. That resonates with a wealthy person. I'm giving, therefore this thing's going to happen.
Yep.
But what we see less of is intrinsic value giving is I give because that's what we do. Giving brings joy. People like us do things like this. This is what people in the church do. Giving is a thing we do. And I think sometimes we've shifted away with such strong impact messaging that we're forgetting about just the joy messaging, the human connection. Giving is a value type of message.
Yeah.
I think that's key to back to your question then, how do we inspire people to give? I think it's really more around the community and the human aspect. So if you think of a high net worth person can solve a really big problem, an individual probably can't, but a community can. You can scale a community.
I love that so much. And for two things, I love the fact that you said giving can be such a joy. I could probably name 10 things right now that I wasted money on. That I had serious regrets on.
You should see my Star Wars toys.
Like, I legit could think of a million things that I've done with money that was stupid.
Yeah.
Giving is not one of them.
No.
I can't think of one time that I gave to a cause, to the church, to whatever, and I've gone, that was really stupid.
Right.
And so just the idea of putting your money towards something that's bigger than you.
Yeah.
All this stuff is going to go away. The clothes that we buy, we outgrow it. It gets stained. It's gone.
Yeah.
Giving it to a cause is something that can outlive us.
There's no question. And I think part of it, like when we buy stuff, it's like, I get it. Like I totally do. I mean, I buy useless stuff all the time.
Right.
And it's interesting that the chase is almost what gives us more joy than once we have it, suddenly we're on to the next thing.
You're not wrong.
So it ends at the purchase.
You're right.
With giving, the joy begins in the gift. So you give this gift, and then you start to see, oh, now I'm meeting people like I give to kingdom workers, for example. I've gotten to go to Malawi. I've gotten to see the work that they're doing in the field. And I'm like, this is amazing. I would have never seen that otherwise. I get to see the results of these gifts and see real joy and happiness. I think you're right. There's a fundamental lasting permanence to giving, even a small gift. I know I'm part of something. I was part of something bigger. I don't know. Like, can I prove it? No, but I've worked with thousands of donors, probably hundreds of thousands of donors, many that I've spoken to, and people don't regret giving. The universal experience says, I love giving. They care about certain causes, and it does truly bring them joy. And I don't think that that's based on a different gift level. But truth be told, it is important that for a lot of wealthy people, they're actually some of the most lonely people, which is something you might not realize. Wealthy people, a lot of people are intimidated. I'm not going to talk to them. And sometimes giving's their only social connection.
Interesting.
I've been at board meetings, and there's even pecking order in the high net worth. Like the 10 millionaires are hanging out, the 100 millionaires. Then there's the lone billionaire over at the coffee, hoping someone talks to them. And I hear that from them all the time. Comments around loneliness. And part of their giving is actually like, I want to be part of something.
I wanted to catch on. That was the second point that I wanted to. You talked about community. Talk about how giving, even for us average Joes, how that can build our sense of community.
I mean, if you think about why does someone give to begin with, it's usually you care about something, you would think. I mean, we're not giving out of obligation. Sometimes we might. That's what I'm supposed to do. But most of the part, there's something. Like if we give $50 to the animal shelter, at least we saw some video and thought that cat looked really cute. Like there's something we care about. And those passions are actually really close to a lot of people's values. So here's what I care to give to. If I'm giving to the church, obviously I think differently about the church than other people. And when you find people that align to your values, those are often the people you make fast friends with. And I find in giving, meeting other people that are giving to the same place, you often find out you have more in common with those people than you realize. I know I've made friends with people on the boards that I'm on that are uniting. The only uniting factor is that we both gave to this place. Suddenly we're friends, we're hanging out, we're having dinners together and learning from each other. I think there's an aspect in giving where you're declaring, this is what I care about. And when I meet other people that care about that, just like I was joking about the Star Wars toys, but if I'm going through and I find someone else is collecting action figures, honestly, I'm watching that TikTok stream a little bit longer than another one.
You're not wrong. I want to also touch on the fact that you called, and you did this, but we don't often talk about this in our church, but you talked about giving as a ministry.
Yeah.
Talk about that, because you're not wrong. It's a spiritual gift.
It's 100%.
To be able to,
it's called out
but
specific.
we do not touch on that in the church. So talk about that.
I think it's culturally that is our problem with that. We're really close off about money, and even to talk of like I've seen public thanks, for example, will thank thanks to the soloist who sang a wonderful piece, thanks to the kids, thanks to Deb, who did wonderful altar flowers this week. But then someone maybe funded something, and thanks to all the people that graciously donated.
Yeah.
It might be a generic thing. Or even when we're asking someone to help, like let's say, I don't know, if I see a kid who's really good at, got their heart in the Lord, they're a good speaker, I'm like, hey, you should think about being a pastor or a called worker. I see someone who's like, oh, I heard you play guitar. Like, we could use a guitar in the praise band. I would go ask them.
Yeah.
But then let's say, I don't know, we have $100,000 need at our church. Like, all right, we better do a bulletin announcement. But this person, we're not seeing them, that this could be a way that they're part of this ministry.
Yes.
Like, this is their thing. This is their moment to play the guitar, to be the preacher, to set up the altar flowers. God bless them to have the resources. They care deeply about the gospel. And this is the spiritual gift that they gave them. Why deny them that joy? By depersonalizing it. So I think that's the real key to it, is bringing back that personal aspect.
Josh, if you were to be able to pinpoint, and maybe you can't, but why do you think people are reluctant to give to the church?
Yeah. So first of all, people do give to the church. They don't give very much to the church. They're giving bigger elsewhere. So the people that are giving to churches, it's often a smaller amount. And I think there's several reasons. One is they're not asked for a bigger amount at the church, but the university, the arts organization in town, the faith-based affiliate ministry, doing wonderful things, they're asking them.
Yeah.
I think that's one. Don't take the shot. You don't ask for the gift. It's the same kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So I think that's one aspect of it. I think they don't see it modeled. They don't see it talked about. They don't see it recognized. They don't see it encouraged. At a university, you're getting a personalized visit. At the church, you get a bulletin announcement. I'm not trying to be like so dismissive about it, but I think we're really missing the aspect of inviting donors into our ministry. We're really thinking of people that should be funding our ministry, and I think that's where we're missing out. They're being invited into charities outside of the church. We're not really inviting them in.
I think you're absolutely right. Another thing that I love that you brought out is that people love to give to specific things. And I know a lot of ministries are all against that.
Yeah.
They want a unified budget. They don't want anybody giving to the Sunday school because they're afraid, Sunday school is going to be fully funded, but no one's going to give to the janitors.
Yeah.
But you mentioned how some of the things that take from the budget that we don't even think about, the batteries for the microphones that the pastors use that come to $600 a year. Someone may think it's pretty cool to
fund the batteries.
Or the sign language interpreter, so talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, that's also a very human thing. And maybe that's a selfishness. I don't know. But giving something a name, it's more fun to give to it than to give to a budget. I get that, right? And I think there's some aspect, first of all, one of the challenges why there's a lot of restrictions on budgets is frankly, we're understaffed in these churches and we have rotating volunteers. We probably have a finance elder who's doing this on the side while trying to keep a full-time job. Their ability to put together a fund management system is pretty low on their list. We have one budget, the funds come in. So I get that. I really do. But there's really, this isn't like a legal thing or whatever. It's putting a name within the budget, which is what I like to do in that. So I think there's what's called designated giving, which is like a legally binding. I'm giving to this. You have to honor the donor's intent. But there's sort of like a pseudo designation, it's often called recognition credit. We're going to recognize that you're the person that pays for the batteries. Now, it's going in the same fund.
Yeah.
Recognition is free. Gratitude is free. Giving them an opportunity to claim something, also free, and it's more valuable to them to get a better experience out of it. So I'm not necessarily recommending a specific tactic, but ultimately what's behind it all is, can we bring more personal relationship, more personal conversation? The reality on that battery example is that's not a bulletin announcement. That's not the pastor standing up after church. That's a human being asking that person.
Yeah.
That's the part that's missing in church fundraising right now.
Yeah. One of the things that I think of, though, is that if my family wants to go on a vacation, a big vacation to Iceland or something, my husband and I might buckle down. We might work harder. We're going to put some overtime in. We have a goal in mind. So we're going to do what we need to do to get that goal made. And so when I hear you talking about, the sign language interpreting, that's something I could get behind. Yeah. I want that for those people. And if you tell me, Amber, we need $5,000 to make this happen over the next 3 years, maybe people would put overtime in. Yeah. Maybe people would do things because that is so close to their heart.
Yeah. They're more likely to do it for that than ever needs to give 10% more in offering or we're going under.
Right.
So that's not fun.
It's sort of flipping it. It's making the generosity more fun, or
I think so.
Or a goal to be met.
Personal, a goal oriented. I think that's right. I think it's a great example. I think everyone should have a philanthropic goal, even if it's small. Someday I'm going to do this thing, and maybe for somebody $500 is that thing. But like that trip, that vacation, someday this is the thing I want to do. I think it's the goal orientation. I think that's a big part of it. But I'm going to keep bringing it back towards, it's really the personal aspect of it, because that sign language interpreter thing, it's because you can connect with that person. I see that. I see the value. I see that. Not in the budget, we're like, well, the elders, the voters meeting, whatever, how this budget came about. I don't know what's in there. Right. I don't really understand it and all that, but I understand the sign language interpreter, or I understand the flowers and altar guild, or I understand that we need a new, a new drum set for the praise band. I get that. And then bring my kids, that drum set. We were responsible for that drum set.
Yeah.
That's kind of a cool thing. Tell your kids you got that model philanthropy. I don't know. I'm probably over talking it, but
no, but I think that you said something that I don't think most people actually have thought about, having a goal. A lot of people talk about budgets.
Yeah.
A lot of people talk about saving for the future. This is our goal for retirement. I don't know that a lot of us set a goal for ourselves, we are going to give X amount of money away. I've never heard of that before. The
one that I heard specifically on that, and I hope it's okay that I call him out, was actually Lyle Fanning. He's on the Schwann Foundation board and others. He said something like that to me once, and that's what switched it on for me.
Yeah.
He talked about when he sold his company, he wanted to be able to participate in philanthropy throughout his retirement. Just like a 401k, I want to be able to live on this. How much do I want to give moving forward? So I made sure when I sold my company, I sold some of it through into a donor advised fund. So I had enough to give X each year to fund my philanthropy for my retirement. I'm like, I've never even thought about that.
Right.
It's like his 401k for giving. I'm like, that is really cool, because especially when you're older, you're like, am I going to be on a fixed income? I've got a fixed philanthropy account. I can always be giving to things. I don't even know what I care about when I'm 75 or 85, but I've got the money for that thing. And I get the social connection of meeting with charities. I don't know. I just thought that was one of the first times I heard it, and it kind of
I have never
switched
heard
on for me. Yeah.
I think the interesting thing about that is, I think you definitely, what is the saying? You don't make the goals that you don't make, or how is it? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So if it's not even on our heart to think about giving, if that isn't conversation, so if nothing else happens from this conversation that somebody's listening to on Little Things Today, maybe the first thing is to start thinking about, what would it look like to make a goal for myself, to give some money to the kingdom of God? Where would I want to give that? Just start thinking about that. Start praying about it. Start talking to your spouse about it. And then one last thing, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay. I love that you brought up having mentors who give. I have never heard of that either. Like people who I can look up to and say, they made this a major part of their life. How would we find that if we're just in our churches, or where would we, because like you said, in churches, we don't talk about this.
It's true. I can't say that I sought any of them out. Maybe that's part of having a turbo extroverted father. It's like, hey, you should meet this person. Maybe he saw that in me. But I think why not be bold and ask about it? I mean, how do you find other people that like basketball? How do you find other people that, I don't know, like knitting or Star Wars? Seems like my recurring theme. We manage to find each other. I think if there's intentionality, you're observing when those gifts happen, go talk to them. I think it's a wonderful thing to pursue a mentor. They don't even have to, I mean, even just, I heard you gave this gift. How did you go about doing that? Yeah. 'Cause I'd love to do something like that one day. I'm sure they would talk about that. I've never had anyone resist that kind of a conversation. I mean, maybe some of us stoic Lutherans would be like, oh, I don't want to brag. And I get it. I'm not asking anyone to boast about their giving. I'm asking to encourage others about their giving. Yeah. I think it's very different, boasting versus encouraging. But I think we're so cautious. Anything is boasting. So I don't know. It's a good question. I might have a unique sphere of influence since I work with so many people that I have a different perspective on that.
Yeah, I think so. Well, this has brought up a lot of things that I think a lot of people probably haven't thought about before today. So thank you for having the conversation with us and joining
Thanks for doing what you do. This is awesome.
Oh, great. This has been Little Things, because in God's kingdom, the little things are the big things.